So the topic of mine is creating creativity. Obviously, the first question that will come is, can creativity be created? Or is it something that you're born with? I mean, a lot of times we say that, no, we are born creative, or like somebody was like Da Vinci was creative, he was born creative, and so on. So I just connect to something, and you might be wondering, why am I connecting to this? But in a moment, you'll come to know why. So do we say love can be created, or are we born with? The point is that when we were born, all of us had equal potential to be creative. But the problem is, do we consider ourselves creative now, equally creative now? But what happens as we age? So the problem is, right at birth, we had equal potential, but as we age, the problem happens is that we start getting exposed to the environment, to parenting, to schooling, and most of these exposures actually block us rather than open us up. I'll just give you a small exercise. So are you ready for an exercise? If you have paper and pen on you, I just can do it mentally also. I'm going to show you something. Don't worry about paper and pen, or if you want, you can use whatever means. You can use your mobile, whatever it is. I'm going to show you an image, and you have to just write down as many things as comes to your mind when you see that image. As many things. Is that clear? Everyone ready? It's okay. So here it is. I'll give you 1 minute for this. Okay, your time is up. Stop. Now just tell me how many things you came up with.
I had a good 8.
You had an 8. Okay. Now, look at this. So I'll not be able to take everyone. So I'll just go to what you would have got, right? So you would have seen mostly because lines, arcs, triangles, circles, or something. Okay. Some of you might have seen a plan or a top view, human faces, human characters, whatever. Somebody might have gone abstract, thought of focus, convergence. Somebody might have thought of an aircraft, spaceship, or whatever it is. Then positive, negative spaces if you're from graphics, and so on and so forth, right? If you see, what happened is when you saw this image in your brain, it activated certain patterns. For example, the first one, lines, is a geometry pattern. Then plant top view can be architecture pattern. Human face can be human related pattern, and so on and so forth, right? Abstraction pattern of focus, convergence, and so on. So whenever you face a problem, our brain activates certain number of patterns. On an average, there are about 7 to 9 patterns. Okay. So if you just now check whatever, you got 8, but if you see what are the different patterns you got. So for example, I saw you had lines, somebody had faces. So you can figure out you had about 7 to 9 patterns, right? Different patterns, within which you add numbers like lines, 3 arcs, 3 angles. That's called fluency. And the number of patterns is called flexibility. So I've got highest is about 56, lowest is of course 0. Anyways, so if I give you more time, would you generate newer patterns? Most likely not. Even if I were to give you a week or more, you would not. Even a year probably. Because your brain remaining the same, your brain wiring remaining the same, you will not be able to generate more patterns. You need to do something to create that out of the box. Okay. And brain is the laziest thing. So moment you gave these solutions, 8 solutions or whatever they are, it will say my problem is solved. I've given the solution. So it will jump to something else. You'll jump to either mobile or you'll go to sleep or whatever it is, right? And this is what the box is. We say, no, creativity is thinking out of the box. So this is the box. Our brain works like a box if we don't know how to use it. And today, hopefully, we'll try to learn how to get out of that box. So how does creativity happen and where does it happen? So I'm going see, it's a big topic. I know creativity is a big topic and I can go on and on, but since we have a limit of time, I'll try to crunch it as much as possible. If you have questions, you can ask after the session. So first of all, I'm sure a lot of you would have experienced this. This is a corporate research, but it says that most of us get creative ideas under shower or anything in that space. Do you agree? Think of it. In kids, normally we say kids are creative. Now, it has been found that synesthetes, these are kind of disorders some people are born with. These people are found to be 8 times more creative than normal people. So what has been found is these people have brains which are more cross-connected. Okay, and that is what gives rise to creativity. So one of the things that we know is to be creative, to make more cross connections. Of course, this is a hot topic these days, drugs, but I'm going to question that. It's not as good as you think it is. And another thing which is coming up is also meditation. I come from India, as you know. Okay, so what happened when you got a problem? Your brain activated certain patterns, okay, certain circuits. And depending on your background or prime, so suppose if you came from geometry background, you would have seen geometry, because all of us have done geometry, we would do geometry. Suppose you had an architecture background, if suppose you had a medical background. So depending on whatever your background was, or whatever you had immediately seen or heard before seeing this, also would affect it. Those are the patterns that would get activated. So these are the normal patterns you have. And when I told you some patterns got activated, okay, few 7 to 8 patterns got activated. Now, more the patterns are repeated in our brains, they get stronger. So it's called rigidization of the brain. And the ones that are not used, so you know that as kids, we had the highest number of patterns of connectivity, cross-connectivity in our brains. As we age, that connectivity goes lower and lower, depending on whether we use our brains or not use our brains. And I'll give you one more shocker. Every one of us, after age 22 onwards, lose around 22 to 25,000 neural cells each and every day of our lives. Okay. So that's how we get rigid and that's how we get blocked. So what is this connection between brain and apple? I'm just asking a question. I would love to see the chat here. This is a question. Okay. Okay, fine. I'll ask another question. Okay. Okay, I'll not take too much of time, but I think none of you got the answer right. Even if I were to give you more time, you will not get that answer right, because in our brains, when one circuit gets activated, okay, so suppose these circuits have gotten activated, some other circuits get deactivated, as you saw here. I'll do it once more, okay? So suppose when some circuit got activated, the other circuits got deactivated. So in this case, when I use a very simple word called lingerie, it activated your primal circuits, which are connected more to the survival, growth, propagation. And so it shut down your semantic or the language part of your brain. And therefore, you would not get the answer. I've given you a big hint. I'll not give you the answer. Keep thinking. Okay. So why did nature, or what was the purpose of nature for us to put us on Earth? And that is survival, growth, propagation, and evolution for some of us. Okay. So now what happens is in our brains, survival, growth, propagation circuits are the most active. So when those circuits get activated, all other circuits normally get subdued. This is what happens in drugs actually, right? So when you are under the influence of drug, what happens is your inhibitions get shut down. So you tend to make more free connections, but at a cost. And that cost can be death causing also, as I will show you in a short while. Okay, but the point is that the best of the work, so research has shown that the best of the work doesn't happen under the influence of drugs. So having put all these things together, we put shower, kids, synesthetes. If you put all these things together, what we find is that there are three basic blocks. If you look at whatever blocks you from creativity, right from birth till now, are these three things: shame, fear, and possessiveness. Now, shame can take many forms, fear can take many forms, and possessiveness can take many forms. And because of these things, we are not able to cross connect. We get stuck, we get compulsive in certain cases, and so on and so forth. I'm sure you would have experienced this, right? So if you want to do brain activation for creativity, we need what is called synchronization of the relevant areas. I'm being very, very non-scientific, but I want to make it as simple as possible. Otherwise, I would have shown you a lot of brain scans and all that. I don't want to get into that, though I'll be showing you some because my background is brain science. So anyways, but this is what happens. So when you have a good brain, you have lots of patterns and they function synchronistically. When your brain is functioning like this, you would be creative. I hope the animation was seen. Okay, fine. So this is what we do. So if we remove these blocks, what we have found is that before, if suppose you see the brains are different colors, so that means the synchronization is not there. If you see on the right side after, there's a whole synchronization of the brain. It's the same color. The whole brain has become. So these are EEG brain scans and all that. I'll not get into it. Just believe me right now that you can synchronize your brain before and after by doing some interventions. We're going to do one small intervention today. Okay. So, by the way, there are a lot of techniques. I just want to show complexity of the techniques. So there are techniques which can actually hyperconnect our brains in around 45 seconds or 90 seconds, and so on and so forth. Okay. So we'll not go here because this would take time, but I'll teach you a very simple technique today. Okay. I'll not let you go without a technique. So, game for creating creativity. But there is one very important thing that you should know. And this is a research from Addiction Resource 2020. Between 1970 and 2015, 300 drug-related celebrity deaths, 300, of which 78% were from creative professions. That means creativity or creative professionals are more likely to get addicted or suffer from these kinds of problems. Even suicides, I think there's more suicide. And imagine this is celebrity deaths. We don't know how many non-celebrity deaths might be happening because of creative endeavors. So if you want to be creative, what is very important, you have to understand difference between conscious creativity and non-conscious creativity. For most of us, creativity happens. Maybe we got the right environment, we got the right parenting, we got the right, every situation was just right. Life became beautiful. Life was love. I think that's the slogan of the conference. Life is beautiful, right? Life is love also. But what happens is, that is non-conscious creativity. So we do not know how the circuits are forming. We are not making it happen consciously. If we want to make creativity to happen consciously, we need these 4 or 5 things that I'm telling you right now. Love, not the love of a husband, wife, or a boyfriend, girlfriend, but what is called the pure or expansive or all integrative love. There has to be high intrinsic motivation, not money, not what is going to be the. See, a lot of us in creative fields look for validation outside, whether people like it, what is the audience doing, is the audience giving me a response or not. All these things, if we don't have high intrinsic motivation, that is also going to make us frustrated, and that is going to lead us to wrong, or what is called non-conscious creativity, and the repercussions of it. Resilience, because you need to convince, because what you are thinking is novel, nobody's going to like or accept it. the first time around. So you have to have the courage, persistence to express in a way that people understand. And if they don't understand, give them benefit of doubt. And one very important thing, this is also new research coming up, is high self-control. And you see most religions and everywhere, they always talk of self-control. Okay, so in short, these are the things. And very important rule for brain is where your attention goes, neural firing flows and neural connectivity grows. So in short, so far, if you've not understood anything, what we need to do for becoming creative is we need to synchronize our brain. We need to make more connections in our brain. And to do that, we'll do a simple technique, okay? So I'll be just within my time, okay? So here's our what to do, okay? So imagine someone or something that is pure or true love for you, okay? Just keep imagining that person or that thing. True, I'm not talking of something which is transactional, not husband-wife, not parent-child, but something which you call really true, which is, it can be a stranger or totally unselfish love. And feel this in your brain. Feel the brain beaming with that energy or that love. Then put your hands like this frontally, okay? And repeat mentally to yourself, I am creative 5 times. Okay, we'll do it separately. First learn it, then we'll do it in a moment. Okay, and then the last thing you have to do is, if you know the word king, the ng of the king is what you have to hum. Okay, 21 times. We don't have that much time. We'll do it 5 times only. Okay, so now do all together, right? So what you have to do is imagine somebody pure love, feel the brain filled with it, put your hands frontally. I am creative 5 times mentally. And then breathe, making this sound of ng of king. And feel that your brain is becoming more creative and filled with love and creativity welling in you. Okay, do this 5 times. Okay, all done, everyone? Do it 5 times. So everyone done? I assume everyone has done it. It will not work otherwise. And remember, the love has to be really pure one, okay? So why this, what is the science behind it? I'll tell you after we do the technique, okay? In a moment. Everyone done this? Ready? Now I'll show you this again. And now again, imagine whatever all comes to your mind and let's see, we'll test whether we have become creative. So we'll compare this with the first one. This is more complex than the first one. Please, whatever number of thoughts come to your mind, whatever you see in this, write as many things as you see. I'll give you 1 minute. Okay. Your time is up. Now compare the number of patterns you got this time as compared to the first time. Do you see there is a change? And see whether you got more different patterns or not. I think a lot of people are saying yes, okay? So that's how simple it is. You can become creative when you want to, whenever you want to, wherever you want to, by just doing these 3 things. As simple as that. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah. There's one. Can you explain the science behind that exercise?
Oh, okay. So when you say pure love, right? Pure love does what is called in our brain global processing. That means it activates when the love is because love is expansiveness, not focusedness. So in cognitive terms, it gives what is called global processing in the brain. That means your whole brain starts activating, or rather the whole brain starts functioning in a cohesion or coherence. So that is what love does. When I say I'm creative, I'm developing an intent. So my brain knows where my attention goes. My attention is, so the connectivity for creativity starts growing. And then when I do the humming sound, if you do it for 21 times, I can show you brain scans, and I can show what I showed you already, right? When you do the humming for 21 times, right now we did only 5 times, even then it works. When you do the humming for 21 times, your brain gets synchronized. If you were to take the EEG or a brain scan, your brain would have synchronized for that much, whatever little, but it would have. So when you do all these 3 together, you have a brain physiology that would make you creative. I hope that answered you.